She used to hum while she cooked. A soft, absent-minded melody that made our house feel warmer. Safer. I remember sitting at the kitchen table watching her stir sauce or dice onions, sunlight spilling through the windows, making her hair glow like honey. That was before everything started to feel off. The change wasn't loud. It crept in like fog. A text she didn't let me see. A sudden urge to stay late at work. A missed call she waved off with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I told myself not to overthink it. I had a habit of spiraling, of imagining betrayals where there were none. Childhood ghosts. My father had cheated on my mother for years, and I grew up watching her shrink under the weight of it, never quite leaving, never quite staying. I swore I wouldn't become that man. Or that woman. So I let it go. At first. Jody and I had been together since high school. She was my first real love, and maybe my only one. We got married 9 months after graduation, drunk on hope and naive certainty. We made it through job changes, money struggles, a miscarriage that nearly broke us both. We survived. I thought that meant we were unshakable. Turns out, survival isn't the same as love. The first real moment of doubt came on a Thursday. She left her work laptop open on the kitchen counter while she showered. Normally, I wouldn't have touched it. But the screen was still on, an email notification glowing in the corner. My name was in the subject line. Curiosity 1. The email was from someone named Stan Morrison. I recognized the name vaguely from her stories about the office. A quiet guy from accounting. The message was short. Booked the Hilton for Saturday. Same room as last time. Can't wait to see you again. My stomach dropped. Same room as last time. I closed the laptop and stepped back, like the thing had burned me. My pulse was in my throat. My hands were shaking. She came downstairs a few minutes later, towel around her hair, smiling like everything was normal. And I smiled back. It was instinct. Reflex. A lifetime of pretending things were okay even when they weren't. But something inside me split. A crack, quiet and lethal. That night, while she slept beside me, I stared at the ceiling. I counted the seconds between her breaths. I tried to imagine her lying in a hotel bed with someone else. Tried to understand how she could smile at me like that and still be planning to spend the night with another man. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't breathe. But I said nothing. Not yet. The next morning, I watched her get dressed for work. She put on more makeup than usual. Lipstick she only wore for special occasions. She caught me looking and raised an eyebrow. What? I shrugged. Nothing. You look good. She kissed my cheek and left. I waited exactly 4 minutes before following her. I took the old truck, the one she hated. Parked across from her office where the sun wouldn't hit the windshield. I watched her meet Stan at the curb. They walked together. Too close. His hand brushed the small of her back as they disappeared into the building. The rest of the day was a blur. I sat there. Watched. Waited. They went to lunch at a place I didn't recognize. Sat in a booth against the window. Her hand touched his. He leaned in close. She laughed. The sound made me flinch. I took pictures. My hands shook, but I clicked through them anyway. Proof, I guess. For what, I didn't know. That night, she told me she was working late. I nodded. At 9:14 p.m., she still wasn't home. Her phone went to voicemail. At 9:32, she walked in. Smelling like hotel soap and cheap wine. I said nothing. The next day, I waited in the parking lot again. This time, I followed Stan after they parted ways. He took a call near the alley, talking low. Yeah, she's all in. He has no clue. We'll start moving things next month. I wrote it down. Word for word. That night, I found a file hidden on her laptop. Joint account access. PDF. It had my bank information. Passwords. Signatures. They weren't planning an affair. They were planning a robbery. My hands went cold. This wasn't just betrayal. It was war. And they didn't know I was watching. Not yet. But they would. Soon. I stopped eating with her. Not officially. I just claimed I wasn't hungry. Or made up a meeting. She didn't notice. Or if she did, she didn't care. She spent more time in the bathroom. Showers that lasted longer. Her hair smelled different. Expensive. The kind of scent you wear to impress someone new. I started keeping a notebook. Red leather cover, thick pages. I wrote down everything. Time she left. Time she got home. What she wore. What she said. She was consistent. And that scared me more than anything. Consistent means planning. Structure. A system. It wasn't spontaneous lust. It was methodical. Like a job. And then there was the money. I checked the accounts. Small withdrawals. Always under 500. Every other day. My savings account was hemorrhaging. I confronted the bank. Joint access. Her name was on everything. I had trusted her that much. That was my first mistake. The second was waiting too long to act. I followed her again. This time to a different hotel. Not the Hilton. Smaller. More discreet. I parked across the street and waited. Watched her walk in alone. Then Stan followed 10 minutes later. I snapped pictures. I didn't know why. No one else was going to see them. Maybe I just needed to know I wasn't insane. They stayed 3 hours. She came out first. Looking happy. Light. Like she'd shed something. I drove home in silence. That night I opened a new bank account. Separate. Private. I moved what I could. Not much. But enough to start the firewall. She noticed the next morning. Did you make a big purchase? I lied. New tires. She didn't push. That was clue number 2. She was trying not to spook me. Because they weren't done yet. They had a timeline. And I had just shortened it. I dug deeper. Found a burner phone in the glove compartment of her car. Messages. Dozens. He has no clue. Bank stuff is in motion. Soon. I read every word. Burned them into my brain. I didn't confront her. I started planning. She wanted to steal my life. I was going to give her a version of it. Just not the one she expected. I practiced my smile in the mirror. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But I needed to make sure it looked right. Not too tight. Not too rehearsed. Like I hadn't just read that my wife and her ex were planning to wipe me out. You okay? She asked that evening, pouring a glass of wine. Just tired. She smiled, touched my arm. A show of affection. To keep the illusion intact. I knew better than to flinch. I had to become 2 people. The husband she thought she could fool. And the man who was going to burn her world down. I started storing cash. Bit by bit. Tucked away in an old shoebox in the garage behind the paint cans. I disconnected my phone from our shared cloud. Created a new email. Changed the security questions on my accounts. I rehearsed things in my mind. How to disappear. How to ruin them without lifting a finger. But I needed more. I needed to know why. So I broke the one rule I still hadn't touched. I bugged her car. Tiny mic under the dash. Sync to my phone. The next morning, she made a call on the way to work. I think he knows. Stan's voice crackled on speaker. Then we accelerate. You have access to everything, right? Yes. But I want to be gone before he notices. I can't do another month pretending. Then we hit it this weekend. I paused the recording. Rewound. Played it again. This weekend. They were going to empty the accounts. Vanish. Take everything I worked for. She said she couldn't keep pretending. Neither could I. I stared at myself in the bathroom mirror that night. And I didn't recognize the man looking back. He wasn't angry. He was calm. Calculated. Ready. And very, very dangerous. It rained that morning. Just a drizzle, soft and steady. Like the sky knew something was coming. She woke early. Humming again. That same soft tune from years ago. It made my skin crawl. She made coffee, offered me a cup. Her eyes were bright. Too bright. Nervous energy beneath the surface. You doing anything today? She asked. Just errands. Might swing by the hardware store. She nodded. Bit her lip. Okay. I'll be at the salon most of the day. And then maybe dinner with Mandy. Mandy had moved to Boston 6 months ago. I smiled. Tell her I said hi. By noon, she was gone. I waited an hour. Then grabbed the USB drive. Every file. Every email. Every recording. I had it all. I drove 2 towns over to a private investigator I found online. No sign on his door. Just a name etched in brass, R. Crowley. He listened. Didn't say much. Watched me like a hawk. You sure you want to do this? I nodded. I want evidence. Something I can take to court. Something that buries them. He slid the USB into his laptop. Consider it done. I left. Stopped by the hardware store anyway. Bought nothing. Drove around aimlessly. Trying not to think about where she was. Who she was with. But I already knew. I checked my phone. The mic was still live. Once it's done, we move fast, Stan said. We drain the joint accounts. Then Vegas. Or Canada. And he won't know? Not until Monday. If he does, screw him. I parked behind a liquor store and stared at the gray sky. This was the end of something. But not mine. Theirs. I was done being the fool in someone else's story. Tonight, they'd think they won. Let them. Tomorrow, I take everything back. She came home at midnight. Her hair messy. Eyes wide. Smelling like sweat and someone else. You still up? She asked. I was reading. Or pretending to. Couldn't sleep, I said. She peeled off her coat. Hesitated. You okay? Fine. You? Yeah. Just, long day. We went to bed like normal. But nothing was normal. I watched her drift off beside me. Watched her exhale like it was all over. Like the game had been played and she won. The next morning, I left early. Took a walk by the lake. Let the cold air bite my skin. The investigator had texted me at dawn. Files recovered. Images. Chats. Bank logs. He said, they were smart, but not smart enough. You have enough to bury them. Legally. Financially. I smiled. Not from joy. From relief. When I got home, she was on the couch. Hair wet. Pajamas clean. Innocent. "Hey," she said. "I was thinking, maybe we should take a trip. Just us." I sat across from her. Let the words roll over me. A fresh start. I nodded slowly. Yeah. That could be nice. Her face lit up. I stared at her. Saw a stranger. Saw a woman who'd spent months crafting a life raft out of lies. Ready to leave me drowning. "You want coffee?" she asked. Sure. She disappeared into the kitchen. And I checked my phone. The lawyer was waiting. The account had been locked. The papers filed. Everything she thought she had access to. Gone. Every dollar. Frozen. I was 2 moves ahead. And tomorrow. I'd checkmate her. Monday morning came like any other. She made toast. I packed a bag. A small one. The kind that fits beneath a seat. 1 change of clothes. My passport. The flash drive. She walked into the kitchen, sipping coffee like she hadn't spent the weekend plotting my disappearance. "You working late tonight?" she asked. "Might be." She smiled. "I'll make dinner. Something simple." It was almost funny. I left before her. Drove into town. Parked behind the courthouse. Crowley met me on the steps. Handed me an envelope. "Your insurance policy. I gave a copy to your lawyer." I nodded. Shook his hand. Then I walked inside and filed for divorce. Irreconcilable differences. Financial misconduct. Infidelity. Evidence enclosed. By lunch, every joint account was frozen. Her credit cards declined. The locks changed. Her name removed from the title. I waited for the call. It came at 3:42 p.m. What the hell is going on? I let silence hang. My card didn't work. I called the bank, and they said. They said what? That I'm no longer authorized. That's right. Why are you doing this? Why did you? She didn't answer. Just hung up. I turned off the phone. Drove north. The cabin was small. Old. My uncle's. Empty since he passed. I lit a fire. Sat by the window. And exhaled. For the first time in months. She thought I'd never find out. Thought she was smarter. But the truth has sharp teeth. And I made sure it bit first. The world she built on lies collapsed. And me? I was finally free.